Please welcome Susan Furman, President of Teachers College.
Good evening. What a wonderful crowd. We're so delighted to see you all here. I'm also, as well as being president, I am an alumna of Teachers College, the nation's first, largest, and best graduate school of education. Let's hear it. I'm honored to welcome you all tonight to our celebration of the Community College Research Center. We're thrilled and honored to be joined by Dr. Jill Biden and our distinguished panelists, CUNY Chancellor James Milliken, SUNY Senior Vice Chancellor Johanna Duncan-Potier, and Spencer Foundation President Michael McPherson. Dr. Biden has called community colleges America's best-kept secret. I'd argue the same could be said of the Second Lady herself. How many Americans know that Dr. Biden has been an educator for more than 3 decades, earned a doctorate at 55, and is a full-time community college professor? How many of you know that she taught 3 English classes today? Equally, too little is known is Dr. Biden's committed advocacy and leadership around some of our most important issues, such as women's health, educational access, and economic empowerment. And with First Lady Michelle Obama, she launched Joining Forces, an initiative to ensure that veterans and their families receive the employment, education, and wellness resources they deserve. As a graduate school of health psychology and psychology as well as education, TC seems tailor-made to host a scholar and practitioner of such breadth and engagement and so dedicated to building a smarter, healthier, and more equitable world. TC was created over 125 years ago to bring together theory, research, and practice in order to confront the problems facing urban immigrant communities. Ever since, TC scholars have been at the forefront of every major movement, issue, and conflict in American education. And we've pioneered many new fields of inquiry, from educational psychology to nursing education, from conflict resolution to movement sciences, always joining scholarship with practice to serve a social justice mission. Community colleges in New York and around the country benefit from the scholarship and practice here at TC. For generations, our teaching and leadership programs have produced the country's finest community college professors, administrators, deans, policymakers, counselors, and student support professionals. Would all TC alumni here today who work with community colleges please stand? Yeah. See, that's terrific. You know, that's a little trick I can pull with any audience. And I do. It's wonderful. Thank you for carrying forth the TC legacy. You make us very proud. Tonight, we celebrate the influential work and wide-ranging impact of all community college educators and leaders. Would everyone who works at a community college who's here tonight please stand? Wow. Welcome. We're so grateful to all of you. And of course, there's the real reason we're celebrating today. Practically from the start, Teachers College Community College Research Center has been the leading independent authority on 2-year colleges in the U.S. The CCRC's visionary founder and leader, Tom Bailey, along with his exceptional colleagues, made community colleges an essential subject of research, policymaking, and effective practice. We see results today both in the advancements they've made in the field and in the central role that community colleges play in the current educational conversation at the highest levels, even at the White House and even at #1 Observatory Circle. We're all so excited to have this opportunity to congratulate and celebrate Tom and everyone at CCRC on a phenomenal 20 years. Tom, your contributions to the study and improvement of American education are without measure. Thank you, and I toast you. Where is Tom? Yeah. Right here. You're supposed to drink after you toast me. So many people wanted to pay tribute to Tom and the CCRC that we put together a short video of clips sent to us from friends around the country. Please enjoy.
Congratulations, CCRC, on 20 years of excellent work. Your careful research has validated the importance of community colleges. Your work on developmental education has been extraordinary.
CCRC is the place we turn to understand the lessons learned from the research and evidence base about community colleges.
CCRC really has given us a context by which we can make our changes and our innovations.
Because of CCRC's work, there is a national unity of purpose to move toward a cohesive and intentional student experience informed by data and built on the foundation provided by CCRC.
With nearly half of America's undergraduates starting their education in community colleges, they are heeding the open access call, and CCRC's research is helping us to understand what works for students when they enter our institutions, what is helping them to navigate through our institutions, and what the opportunities are once they complete.
Keep up the good work, and I wish you the very best for the next 20 years.
Please welcome Professor Tom Bailey, Director of the Community College Research Center.
Thank you. I didn't expect that. I wanted to thank President Furman for her overly generous introduction. Thank you so much, everybody. So good evening. I want to welcome all of you who came to this evening's activities in celebration of CCRC's 20th anniversary and in recognition of the capacity that community colleges have to change the lives of their students for the better. It's worth remembering, given the coming change in national leadership, that community colleges have never been represented as a partisan issue, and that working to strengthen and make more affordable institutions that open the door to college and college success for every student is a goal that we can all support. At the same time, we hope that the new administration recognizes and supports the critical role that the federal government has played both in providing financial assistance for college students and supporting research that has been crucial to improving student outcomes. CCRC was founded in 1996. I certainly did not imagine that we would grow to an organization of over 50 researchers and support staff and have such reach and respect in the field. I think it's fair to say that over the past 2 decades, CCRC has contributed to a much better understanding of how students experience community colleges. Our research has been influential in many related areas: developmental placement and instruction, online learning, transfer policy, advising and career counseling, to name just a few. The ideas contained in our recent book, Redesigning America's Community Colleges, have helped to generate a widespread reform movement based on what has become known as the Guided Pathways model. We are now in a period of reform and innovation unprecedented in the 20 years CCRC has been around, and we are proud to have played a meaningful role in advancing that activity. Now, none of this would have been possible without the constant encouragement and support of the Teachers College faculty and administration, and of course the dedication and passion of my colleagues at CCRC. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to come to work with them every day. Let's hear it from them. Most important, the educators and staff at the colleges who have partnered with us over the years to carry out our studies and who have worked with us to implement many of our recommendations, all of which are aimed at ultimately at improving outcomes and equity for community college students. The dedication of the faculty and staff at community colleges to making their classrooms and institutions more effective for students is truly inspiring. Now, our work has also been made possible by the many philanthropies, federal agencies, colleges, state systems, and private organizations that have funded our work. There are too many to name here, but I do want to call attention to the foundation and the program officer who are responsible for the origin of CCRC. In 1995, I can vividly remember receiving a call while I was in a taxi in Washington, D.C., from Arthur Levine, who was TC's president at the time. He told me that Jesse Ausubel from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation had suggested that TC write a proposal to create a community college research center. Jesse had the following insight. While 40 to 50% of undergraduates attended community colleges, and those students were disproportionately low-income, minority, immigrant, and first-generation college students, less than 10% of research on higher education even mentioned community colleges. That insight led directly to the founding of CCRC. So we're so pleased that Jesse could be with us tonight, as well as we're glad to welcome his mother to his work at Teachers College. And so I would like to invite him now to the podium, as we want to recognize him this evening and present him with a gift with the following inscription: in appreciation of your visionary contributions to the founding of the Community College Research Center and of your continued support and friendship. Thank you. I've got a spear over here.
On behalf of the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, thank you, Tom. In making the first large grant to the center in June 1996, Sloan insisted on only one matter: that CCRC researchers would do field work, that is, actually spend large amounts of time in community colleges and with community college folk. The enormous success of CCRC shows the value of seeing things with your own eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. We're so appreciative of what you've done. All right, so it's now my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening, Dr. Jill Biden. Welcome back to Teachers College, Dr. Biden. I say welcome back because 6 years ago, you came to Teachers College to address graduates at the TC's doctoral hooding ceremony. I had the honor then, as I do now, of saying a word or two about your steadfast advocacy for community college students. As many of us in this auditorium know well, Dr. Biden's passion for community colleges is not new, nor is her love for teaching. Dr. Biden has been an educator for more than 30 years. She worked for 13 years in public schools in the state of Delaware as a reading specialist and English teacher. In 1993, she joined the faculty at Delaware Technical Community College, where for more than a decade, she taught English composition and remedial writing. Dr. Biden's commitment to the teaching vocation did not end when she became Second Lady of the United States. She actually taught classes the week after the 2009 inauguration, and in fact, still teaches today at Northern Virginia Community College. Dr. Biden has been extremely effective in using her platform as a seasoned educator and Second Lady to call attention to the value and promise of two-year community colleges. For example, in 2010, she convened the first White House Summit on community colleges to highlight the role that the colleges can play in boosting the nation's college graduation rate and in developing a highly educated workforce. And just last month, she hosted a community college leaders at the vice presidential residence to thank them for their efforts to make community college free for students in their states and communities, and to seek support for America's College Promise, President Obama's national plan for tuition-free community colleges. Indeed, we'd like to thank both the Obamas and the Bidens for raising the profile of community colleges and focusing the nation's attention on their crucial role. Now, Dr. Biden's strong support for community college has unquestionably been good for our work at CCRC. But it has been critical for the kinds of students Dr. Biden teaches each week, many of whom work full-time and have families and who rely on a community college education to help them realize their American dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Jill Biden.
Thank you. Wow. Oh, hello. Hi, how are you? Thank you. Community colleges aren't prestigious. The education isn't high quality. They're second rate, an option of last resort. We've all heard it, but that's just wrong. You know it, I know it, and the millions of people across our country who have received an affordable, quality higher education at a community college know it. Here's what we know. 35% of America's four-year college graduates complete their degrees because they attended a community college. Over 12% of all 2014 doctoral recipients attended a community college. 12%. And certain community college graduates make higher wages than four-year college graduates. But we all know that, or you wouldn't be here this evening. Thank you, Teachers College, Tom and Susan, for welcoming me back. It was a privilege to deliver the commencement address here in 2010 and to meet with student veterans, actually, back in 2013. But today is distinct and holds a special place in my heart as we celebrate the Community College Research Center's 20th anniversary. The practitioners at CCRC have been leaders in this space beyond 20 years, bringing to light the importance of community colleges to our country and for millions of students. And I'd like to add my voice to thank Jesse for having the vision to foresee the need for this research. And I love you brought your mom. Tells me a lot about you. But, you know, our work is only getting started, and I'll get back to that shortly. We all have our own stories about why we are so passionate about education. You know, I grew up in the 60s. I'm a 60s girl from Philly. And before Joe, the men I dated wore jeans and clogs. And my hair was down past my waist, and some of theirs was too. So when a clean-cut senator asked me out on a date and showed up at my door wearing a suit and leather loafers, I wasn't quite sure. But what we found in one another was a shared sense of responsibility and really a passion to level the playing field. Throughout his career in the Senate and now as Vice President, my husband Joe has fought for the middle class to give all Americans a fair shot at the American dream. That same principle is why I teach at a community college. I teach to give my students confidence so that they know that there's really no limit to how far they can go, because education is the great equalizer. The past 8 years have been an amazing opportunity that really I never even honestly could imagine. Actually, I've been living pretty much a double life since Joe was first elected vice president. One moment, and this is actually a true story, one moment I'm taping a live interview at 7 6:15 in the morning in the Blue Room at the White House for the Today Show, talking about President Obama's continued support of community colleges. And then that same day, that same morning, the next moment at 7:55 a.m., I'm in my cubicle, like many of you, at Northern Virginia Community College, prepping to teach my 8 a.m. English composition class. Even today, after I left my classroom, I had to change out of my teacher outfit in the lounge at the airport to put on my second lady outfit. Many of my students don't know that I have 2 jobs. For example, at the end of one semester, at the end of the semester, by the way, a student of mine came running into the classroom and said, Dr. B, I saw you last night on the television with First Lady Michelle Obama. And the student said, and I ran into my mother and I said, Mom, my English teacher is on the TV. And she said, that's not your English teacher, that's the second lady. They may not know that I'm married to the Vice President of the United States. But one thing they do know, and that is that I am committed to them, and my first priority is to them. And thank you. As a teacher, I really have loved being part of the Obama-Biden administration, which believes as passionately as I do in education. When we were first elected, and some of you are too young to remember this, I'm sure. You weren't paying attention. But our economy actually was losing 800,000 jobs a month. And we were in the depths of the worst recession since the Great Depression. And from day one, our administration saw community colleges as critical to revitalizing the American economy. I was in the right place at the right time. Because as we all know, community colleges connect the dots. They grant 2-year degrees, provide new skills training for an affordable pathway for those who want to go on to a 4-year university. So in 2010, at the community college where I teach, President Obama came to Nova and signed into law a bill that invested nearly $2 billion in over 700 community colleges. It was really a very proud moment for me, and called for the first ever White House Community College Summit. I'm sure many of you were there. This was our moment. We were putting community colleges front and center. That investment paid off big dividends for our country, building more than 2,500 partnerships between community colleges and employers, and training nearly 300,000 skilled workers. In 2012, I headed out on a community college to career bus tour to shine a light on these innovative workforce partnerships between community colleges and local employers. In 2 days, we traveled 800 miles through 7 cities in 5 states, visiting some amazing, talented students, teachers, businesses, and local leaders. So, but rather tell you about it, you can see the video. We're on our Community College to Careers bus tour, and we've looked at how businesses partner with community colleges.
This helps to solidify what we know is working, and now we're hearing evidence of it as we go out to the colleges and to some of the work sites to hear about the investments in apprenticeship programs and job training that's being offered to these employees as well as students that want to get into these new high-tech careers.
It meant so much to us to have been one of the places that they stopped to focus on community college to careers, because now's the best time to invest in community colleges. We are the future. We're going to be the economic engine that drives our economy. It's more important than ever to have education and training to get those jobs.
You know, the fact that the government has put money into community colleges has opened up so many opportunities for people to get different degrees in fields that they really like. I know that it's been true for me.
Community college gave me an opportunity to get into a profession. I'm working in the emergency room. I'm alongside doctors. There's community colleges everywhere. All you have to do is go in and enroll. You don't even have to know exactly what you want to do. They have people set in place that can guide you into a career.
My name is Adam Dalton. I'm the machine shop instructor. You are at Tennessee Technology Center at Harriman. I was showing them two pieces of equipment that were funded by the Department of Labor. That was a Haas computer numerical controlled machining center and a Haas tool room lathe. I have people calling me every week saying I need guys and gals with this skill set, and we need them now. At least once a week I have someone call me.
It's all about jobs. So we're looking at community colleges who have great partnerships with business. For instance, tonight we'll be going to look at Gatorade and what they've done. They've brought hundreds of jobs into this area. So this is what we're talking about, jobs. That's what Americans want. That's what they need.
The technology that Gatorade was bringing to this community, it was technology that we haven't experienced before in our local factories. So the college worked with them to get industrial maintenance training for all employees.
Most of the jobs going to be created in this country from now on are going to require training beyond high school and retraining. In addition to that, the community college is better set to do that.
Well, especially people my age in their 40s and above to do the college experience.
What we're hearing is that community colleges are becoming more adept and more agile at listening to what the needs of the business community is. And we've heard that time and time again, and we're seeing kind of a renaissance, I think, in manufacturing overall. Yes. And that's really important because these jobs are good paying middle-class jobs. We can look at incentivizing more job training in those areas, the high-tech areas, the IT, healthcare, whatever it is, biomedical, and keeping the jobs here. And that's going to help bring back our recovery, economic recovery, and increase employment opportunities for people that are currently looking for work.
By having the Vice President here and Dr. Biden here and the Secretary here, it really says to this community, we are important and you do play a significant role in changing this community. It really does show that there is a national focus on community colleges, and for so many years we sort of were there, but now we have the opportunity to really shine and people are starting to recognize us.
I would like to say that if I had one word to describe the last few days, it would be inspired. It's offering people hope that they can get a job, get training, and support their families, and that's what they're looking to do. And for me, this is perfect because I am a community college professor. I see in my classroom all the time people struggling to try to get an education. And so really, for me, every day I feel like this is just like hope. By partnering with local businesses, community colleges answered the call of our nation to provide a well-equipped and well-trained workforce. That's what's so special about community colleges. So, what's next? By the end of this decade, 2/3 of all job openings will require some form of higher education. Despite all the progress we've made in the last 8 years to make higher education more accessible, too many, you know this, too many hard-working Americans still feel that a college education is out of reach. Rising tuition costs is one key factor. That's why I believe, as does President Obama, that community college should be free for all responsible students. Two years of free community college will allow students to earn the first half of a bachelor's degree or acquire a professional certificate without being saddled with decades of debt. According to the College Promises campaign's first annual report just released last month, since President Obama announced his free community college proposal, more than 36 College Promise programs have launched in cities, states, and communities across this country. There are now 150 programs across 37 states offering some form of free community college. And early research has shown that Promise programs, particularly those offering pathways to a four-year university, can be key to boosting local economic development and increasing the number of people staying in their communities. And the reason is pretty simple, because 90% of our population lives within 25 miles of a community college. We also see more and more people are now giving community colleges a fresh look. For example, Oregon launched its College Promise program this year, and nearly 6,000 new students enrolled in community colleges all across the state. But let's be honest, simply enrolling in a community college isn't enough. Community colleges may be the first to open the door to college for students, but we have to retain students and help them complete their degree. Throughout my visits to nearly 50 community college campuses, I've seen how dual enrollment courses, early college, high school partnerships, mentors, and community service opportunities, as well as other college credit programs, have consistently increased student achievement. If we pair those proven strategies with a College Promise program, I believe we'll be even more successful in keeping students in the classroom through graduation. And that's exactly what I saw in Tennessee, which offers dual enrollment programs for high school students and launched a statewide College Promise program. More than 80% of students who enrolled in the Tennessee Promise in the fall of 2015 returned for their second semester of classes in the spring of 2016. While we don't have all the data we need, I think it's clear that the promise of free community college is making a real difference for thousands of students in every corner of our country. It's especially important for the new majority of students who attend one of America's community colleges who are often older, returning to school while maintaining a full-time job or raising a family, or, as you know, in many cases, both. While our administration has strived to make community colleges more affordable and more attractive for more students to attend college, there's still so much more we can and must do. Because at the end of the day, it's about the outcomes. It's about completion for purpose. It's about getting our students on the right pathway with links to a good-paying job so that they can provide for themselves and their family. CCRC has been on the forefront since day one tracking and creating the data sets we need to evaluate and to better understand our students. For the past 20 years, you've been providing that data that policymakers need to better understand the ways in which community colleges provide benefits to students that occur really nowhere else in higher education. Because of your groundbreaking research, we can identify the challenges community college students face and paths to overcome them. Because of you, individual colleges and policymakers can make better investments in what works and what doesn't. You have been a champion for community colleges. You literally wrote the book on redesigning America's community colleges to provide a clearer path to student success. But I need to ask you to do more. First, we must document the lived experience of our students. Oh, I can see we're on the same page. You know, the experiences that I've seen in my classroom, and really this has just happened to me in the past week, I don't know, just 10 days. You know, I have some just amazing, smart, brilliant students, and I had one student write to me in a journal just this past week that she's a mother, by the way, a mother of 4 kids. 4. She drives an Uber, you know, to try and help make ends meet. And she wrote in her journal, Dr. B, there was one day last week I couldn't come to class because I couldn't pay for parking. Then I had a student yesterday who came to me crying, and she said, I don't know who to talk to, Dr. B. I'm here from Bolivia. And, you know, my mom kicked me out of my home. What do I do? I'm living with a friend, but what do? I don't have anybody to talk to. And then I have some students who suffer from depression or, you know, all the things that we all have rocky times in our lives. And so, as you know, we need to make the case for wraparound services. I've seen it in the lives of my students. These are not just, you know, points of data. These data points have names for me. Second, we need you to keep publishing data on best teaching practices so that community college faculty can use the kinds of teaching strategies that best help their students inside the thousands of individual classrooms. Above all, you must continue to document the case that we can't afford not to invest in community colleges. We've asked a lot of you over the past 20 years, but we can't stop now. The secret on community colleges is out. Our work now is more vital than ever. CCRC, I know that you are up to this challenge. So, what's next for me? People ask me all the time. I'm going to keep teaching. I'll continue serving on the College Promise Advisory Board to work with elected officials and business leaders to make community college free. And with your help, we'll keep the momentum going. We can't afford to put the brakes on. Before I conclude, on a personal note, because this is, I think, my last community college speech, I want to thank you from my heart and from Joe's for your love, your support, your kindness over these last 8 years. You know, there were some dark days for the Biden family this past year, but you lifted us up, honestly. Your support lifted us up, and we couldn't have done it without you, all of you. So serving our country has been such a great honor. It's been the journey of a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Biden. We've certainly at CCRC been trying to figure out, what we're going to do next, and thank you for giving us our research agenda. But more important, really, after that, I think you've given us the inspiration to go for another 20 years. So thank you very much. All right, so we have seen some students in this video, but we have some more students that we would like to hear from. This is why we're all here, to make sure that students have the best experience in community colleges and that they can achieve their dreams. So we have some students in this video.
I like to say what I have is academic turnaround. I came out of high school with a pathetic GPA. I came out of my first 2 years of college with a pathetic GPA. I am a second-year student here at Norwalk Community College, and I opted for what was called the Fresh Start program. So since that point, I've been maintaining a 4.0 average. I'm officially a sophomore and on my way out, hopefully by the spring.
The four-year college kind of felt intimidating, so I decided to start out with a community college, and it was actually the best choice for me. The professors know you by name. If you need help, you will get it. Be it tutoring, if you have problems coming to school and all the counseling, so all these things that were available, that's awesome.
If I need something, I can just email my advisor. He's gonna respond me right away, and the fact that you have someone to go and talk to that person, and even though that you don't know that person that well, you can feel that they're gonna treat you well and you can trust them.
I didn't think community colleges had that many programs and that many possibilities, since all my friends were telling me, oh, it's just a community college. But once I got in here, I started seeing things differently. I realized how much help do you have from not only your advisors, but also certain professors.
I was able to see the different options that I could go in. You could see the salaries and you can see the years of experience needed. I then realized that I didn't lose much time. The things that I took for biology were also able to roll over into the degree of the business program.
Before I started at community college, I never would have expected to end up at Columbia. So going through that whole process got me here and got me a great education.
All right, and in addition to that, we're pleased to have Harriet, Daniel, Chris, and Ben from the video here with us tonight. Would you please stand up? All right, now I'm pleased to introduce our esteemed panel of experts who will discuss the future of community colleges. So Johanna Duncan Poitier, my friend, is the Senior Vice Chancellor for Community Colleges and Education Pipeline at the State University of New York. The pipeline reference is particularly apt for her, since she has extensive experience with all components of the K-16 education system in New York. Now, I've been observing SUNY community colleges for many years, and so I can clearly see that she has brought new excitement and focus to community colleges in the state. I look forward to continuing to work with her on important projects. Michael McPherson has been a college professor, a dean, a college president is now the president of the Spencer Foundation, which focuses entirely on education research. He's advocated for rigorous research, but he's also valued a variety of points of view, interacting regularly with business representatives, policymakers, practitioners, as well as researchers. As a result, he's one of the most insightful observers and leaders in higher education today. James Milliken is the Chancellor of the City University of New York. He has had leadership experience in Nebraska, North Carolina, with a particular emphasis on the economic role of higher education, so he brings diverse experience to New York City. While CUNY has always been innovative, during his tenure, CUNY has embarked on a major reform initiative to double graduation rates for community college students. I hope these reforms succeed, not only because they're consistent with many of the ideas that we have championed at CCRC, but because they will benefit CUNY's highly diverse student body. So, thank you. All right, so we'll ask some questions and have a discussion. So, President McPherson, let me start with you. In the recent report of the Commission on the Future of Undergraduate Education, a commission that you co-chaired, there was some good news and some bad news. College enrollment continues to grow, and community colleges have been a major source of that increased enrollment. The economic benefits of colleges are strong, but college attainment rates are, as the report says, troublingly unequal. So what are 2 or 3 things that are most important things that community colleges could do to reduce the racial and income gaps in college attainment?
Well, let me first congratulate you and all your colleagues at CCRC on 20 fantastic years, and thank Dr. Biden for the tremendous leadership you've shown and the evident difference that it has made. As you said, the secret is out. So, community colleges, I think it's important to say, already do a lot. We know that the probability of successful lives for our current generation and future generations of students depends on the accessibility and opportunity for college. And the data that you refer to, Tom, show that it remains true that the lifetime benefits of completing any kind of certificate or degree in higher education are measurable and important. But I think they also tell us that the probability that somebody's going to cross that finish line are much lower for people from historically disadvantaged groups, for low-income people. And not only is this deeply unfair, but it is also shockingly wasteful in a country that can't afford that kind of waste. So it seems to me that the community colleges already do a great deal. But as Dr. Biden said, completion is such an important matter. All the evidence is that the people who are most likely to get in trouble with repaying their debts, the people who wind up not benefiting from their experience in college, 4-year college, 2-year college, whatever, are the people who don't finish what they start. And they face tremendous odds because there are all kinds of challenges for the lives of people from the groups that I mentioned. And community colleges do a great deal to help with that. But I think the kind of thing that CCRC has developed with the new reform efforts, keep people focused on moving forward, on overcoming those barriers, and on finishing what you started, I think is just would make the contributions of the community colleges even greater than they are now.
Thank you. Okay, well, that's a good lead into my next question. So which I'll ask both the Chancellor Milliken and Vice Chancellor Duncan Poitier the same question. Over the last decade, there's been a tremendous amount of reform activity in community colleges. This has been termed the completion agenda. Nevertheless, overall measures of student success have not improved enough. What do you think the colleges need to do to turn that reform activity into significant improvement in student success? And what steps has either CUNY or SUNY taken to do that? So would you like to start?
Sure, I'll start. I couldn't agree more that completion is the essential mission today. I mean, we know that talent's distributed evenly, but often opportunity is not. It still remains stubbornly correlated with wealth and position. So the kinds of things that CUNY is doing to address this with our student profile, 40% born in another country, 40% from households with 20,000 or less annual income, to even that playing field, to change the opportunity that they have is the ASAP program, which you know well and Teachers College knows well and has been a supporter of, the Accelerated Studies for Associate Programs, where we've more than doubled the community college graduation rates. The 3-year graduation rates at urban community colleges in this country remain at crisis levels. And so a program like ASAP, which takes a number of things that are intuitive, it's not rocket science, but it's commitment and investment in the kinds of things that we know work. Full-time attendance, full scholarship, in New York City, Metro cards so that students can continue to get to class the way they got to high school. Moving through as a cohort so that they support each other. And finally, intrusive advising. That at so many of our institutions, we don't have the level of advising that we need. But these 6 or 7 elements combined together have made such an incredible difference. Taking the average 3-year graduation rate at urban community colleges is still under 20%. Taking our students to 55% graduation rates over 3 years across CUNY. And now with the additional investment of the city and the state, we're ramping up to 25,000 students and taking one of our campuses, Bronx Community Colleges, with persistently, thank you. my partner, the president of Bronx Community College, is here. So we're going to demonstrate what was the question, the nagging question that we've been getting for years is, ASAP's a great program and it seems to work very well, but can you take it to scale? Can you make a difference at the college level? And that's what we're going to establish, and that's what's going to, I think, prove to people that we can do it and that the investment in a program like that's worth it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. For us, it really is the State University of New York. It is about investing in what works, evidence-based strategies that we know make a difference for students. I can't go on with this without saying thank you. Not only congratulations on your 20th anniversary, but really thank you. The work that we're doing in terms of investing in evidence-based strategies has so much to do with the work you, Tom, and your many colleagues at the Community College Research Center have made possible. We have really looked through your research regularly, so we don't have to do it all over again. We don't have any more time for pilots. We can't just impact a few hundred or a few thousand students. We have to impact the tens of thousands of students. The State University of New York has credit and non-credit 500,000 students in our community colleges. 30 colleges from the tip of Long Island to the Canadian border. 70% of those students need remediation. So in order for us to make a difference for them, taking advantage of the research and the evidence-based strategies we know work, we're doing 3 major things. The first is in partnership with our K-12 colleagues. We are no longer just saying, if you sent us a better student, we'd have better results. We are working with our K-12 partners from with everything from bridge programs to our network of 60 early college high school programs, including P-TECH, which is linked with business and industry. And as the first lady, you're my first lady. As Dr. Biden said, working with business and industry is huge. There is no better motivator than to have students know that at the end of their tenure, they have a good paying job waiting for them. The second is we're completely rethinking the organization of our community colleges. We're looking at many different strategies, achieving the dream, the best of ASAP, the best of EOP, and of course, guided pathways. It just makes sense. I was sharing offline with someone, if I wanted to travel from Manhattan to Washington, D.C., would I prefer a GPS or would I just try to find my way there? I know how to get, I know I want to go, I want to get there, but with the help of having a simpler structure with the supports in place makes all the difference in the world. And many of our campuses are looking to pursue this. And the last of the three major things is math. We're looking at a completely different way of offering math. For many of us in this room, including myself, math is one of those major roadblocks to success. Students either at the very beginning don't do well with math and they don't persist, or we have students who wait until the very end. They're putting off that drastic, horrible thing until the end, and what happens? They drop out. And so, with the help of our partnership with the Carnegie Foundation and funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we were able to scale up, bring to scale an evidence-based strategy of a pedagogical approach to math. Some know it as quant way, stat way, quantitative reasoning, statistics. But it is now at 29 of our campuses and has a success rate nationally, twice the success rate in half the time, which means 21% of the students in traditional Dev Ed math, 21% in a year pass developmental math. With this new pathway, this new pedagogical approach, in one semester nationally, 50% of the students move on to credit-bearing math. And last but not least, as we've brought it to scale, on 12 of our campuses that are actually teaching this course, almost 76% of the students are actually now passing math in one semester. It's huge. So last but not least on this point, the idea of having evidence-based strategies to scale make all the difference. And for the students that we just spoke of with math, these students believe they can do anything. They're not just doing well in math, they're doing math in science, they're doing well in science, they're doing well in English, except for me. They're doing so well because they believe if they can do math, they can do anything. So we thank you for your work and thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about affordability. Now we've heard from Dr. Biden about the community college promise, the free community college policy. So there's a lot of support. It's true, many states are doing that, but at the same time, there's some skeptics or critics about that. So let's ask, what do you think the best strategy is for making sure that financial problems are not standing in the way of any student in our community colleges? President McPherson, what would you?
So there's one point that I really want to make here about the free tuition strategy, which is that the version of that strategy that President Obama has advocated has a feature that many of the state policies do not. That feature is the money to finance free college, that is tuition of zero, comes before the Pell Grant. That is, if you're in a free tuition college, according to Obama's vision, and you get a Pell Grant, all of the money in that Pell Grant can go to support your living expenses. Many state programs say that first we'll take the Pell Grant, and if your Pell Grant doesn't cover the tuition, then we'll make it free. That's a very different proposition. It helps people who are further up the income scale. It doesn't help them more than real free tuition is what I would call it. Helps them. But it's much less valuable for people at the bottom because they may use up all of their Pell Grant paying their tuition in some states and then have nothing left for living expenses. So if we're going to follow this path, I think it's really valuable to get the participants to do first dollar tuition free rather than last dollar tuition free.
So it's hard to be a skeptic of free community college when Jill Biden's in the room. And, it does make, in theory, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we are basically providing non-discretionary funding through the 12th grade in this country, which we did 70 years ago. And we did it at a time when not many people were going to college. And when the high school diploma was the coin of the realm. I mean, you could do many, many jobs with that diploma. So what are we doing today in 2016 with the same philosophy in place? So I think that makes all the sense in the world. Now, will we be able to get there? I don't know what the new administration's view is going to be, the college promise, and what will happen with the national agenda, what will happen in many of the states. But I'd like to think that there are some other things that we need to do at the same time. Now, at CUNY, because of the state TAP program and Pell, about 70% of our community college students don't pay tuition today. And that's terrific. The completion part is still, as we all talked about earlier, still suffering significantly. So what would I do with the next dollar of investment that I got from the state or the city? I might invest in ASAP. I might invest in more advising, academic advising, intrusive advising for our students. There are a lot of things I might do with that next dollar. And so in an environment where I think we're always going to be making choices, tough choices about resources, I think that's something we have to keep in mind. But are there other things we can do? And I think there are. And I think you mentioned some earlier, early college. Jill mentioned this earlier. If we can have more of our students, there are 20,000 in New York City right now taking college courses in high schools throughout the city, more of them get college credit while they're in high school, so they're accumulating credits and getting to degree faster, going for free at the time, so at least that part of it's free, and they're not having to use their Pell and TAP funding later to accumulate credits on their way to degree. That's a great opportunity for us, and we need to expand that in New York City and across the country. And I think there are a lot of strategies like that that will help us put together the building blocks that will reduce the cost and at the same time increase completion rates.
I totally agree with everything you've just mentioned. I think for us, our neediest students often have the benefit of financial aid. For those who don't, certainly free community college tuition would be wonderful. I'm actually going to quote you. It's that we hope that there is more. Where we see our neediest students really struggling is with the wraparound services, with the non-cognitive supports, with the non-academic provisions. We've invested in something called community college community schools. We're only at 5 of our campuses, and we have 30. But what we have is something sort of like a 2-1-1, where we call it Life Happens. You know, and what we've seen is students have hunger insecurity, homeless issues, problems with transportation, problems with everything you can imagine that just happens in life, and for our neediest students, it's a big deal. As you were speaking, Dr. Biden, I was looking at Tom because we were talking only the other day about this very thing. We have a high-performing student at one of our colleges. She's a nursing student who makes minimum wage. She's a nursing student. She makes a little more than minimum wage. She takes care of her mother. She needs childcare, and she had a flat tire. Because of the flat tire, she was prepared to drop out. Most of the things that students need to prevent them from dropping out cost $500 or less. And so we're hoping that there can be, if we were to have a proposal such as this come to life, that there would be support for additional wraparound services, because for a community college student, often it makes the difference between them completing, persisting and completing.
Let me ask you a question. So you're in philanthropy, and perhaps...
What do you need, Tom?
Afterwards. We'll have a drink afterwards. Maybe the role of philanthropy may be actually increasing now, but what do you think in the situation that we have now, just in general, should be the role of philanthropy, both in the types of things that we've talked about today, better completion, issues of equity, as well as the problem of affordability?
So my foundation is almost exclusively focused on supporting research about education. There are other foundations that more directly provide services or that more directly support interventions. Our founder was an entrepreneur who developed a very successful education business called SRA, and some of you almost certainly experienced SRA readers when you were in grade school. And some of you loved them and some of you hated them. That's not my problem.
Loved them.
But what he said was that lasting improvement in education will come from better understanding of education. And I think Spencer holds that light up, and we try to focus there. That's not what every foundation should do, but I do think that the work at CCRC, you know, the superb work that Judy Scott Clayton has done on better understanding placement for developmental students. I think the work that you and others have done, including Judy, that helped develop this clear idea of guided pathways. We need to keep that research moving forward and ask the tough questions about why do we have the problems we have, what will it really take to solve them, at the same time that we have somewhat larger foundations like the Gates Foundation, Lumina Foundation, investing over a broad range, but actually, depending a little bit on how you define research, not investing as much in research as we do. So I think that's a very important thing to keep going with.
Okay, I have now been told that was the last question, but actually I think that was an appropriate ending for our 20th anniversary. Perfect. I, of course, agree that research is going to help us understand.
And we'll talk later.
Yes. So thank you very much. I think we've had such a great evening. Dr. Biden, our panelists tonight, I think it's been very interesting. We've heard some, I think, inspiring information. I think it also, gives us more motivation to continue our work, both the work that we do as researchers as well as the work that practitioners do that learns from our research as well and continues to dedicate their work to improving the lives of their students. So thank you very much. It's been wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you to our panelists for that thoughtful and lively discussion. We're very grateful. I know that we all feel uncertain about what to expect under the next administration. I think we can all agree that keeping a focus on education will continue to be essential. With so many of you continuing to do important work on the front lines, I'm confident we'll be prepared for anything that comes along. Dr. Biden, we're sorry to lose you as our second lady, but we're so happy that you will continue to teach and fight for all of us in so many ways. Let's have another round of applause. And Tom, we are counting on you and the CCRC more than ever. Here's to the next 20 years and beyond. Thank you.